Homelander has finally got to see some action in Season 3 of The Boys. For the better part of 2 seasons, we haven't been able to see what he's really capable of because he was never pitted against anyone. But seeing him stand his ground against Soldier Boy prompts the question, how strong is Homelander? What would happen if we threw him into a death battle against Wolverine? Could the Omega Mutant overpower Vought's greatest creation, or is Homelander really the most powerful super on the planet? Well, I suppose there's only one way to find out. Now, there is an inherent difficulty in fights between characters from different universes. A lot hinges on assumptions. So for the sake of a little simplicity, let's just juxtapose both worlds, including characters, technologies, and factions, to give each an even playing field. Then we can go on to assess their powers, weapons, and abilities to see who would win a death battle. A brief understanding of Wolverine's backstory is essential to understanding his abilities, so let's go over that briefly. He was born a mutant, and throughout his teenage life, got the hang of his regenerative and healing powers. He used his endurance and superhuman abilities to become a soldier or mercenary for hire during the World Wars. This gave him some preliminary exposure to maneuvering, battle tactics, and strategy. While on the run from the law, he was recruited for a clandestine super soldier program known as Weapon X. Due to his healing factor, he was more than an ideal candidate. Adamantium was fused with his skeleton, thus giving him his iconic claws. Homelander, on the other hand, has a far simpler story. I'm only going to be referring to the Amazon show to keep things simple. Homelander was an artificially created soup whose powers come from the hereditary genes he adopted from his father, Soldier Boy. Being the son of one of the most powerful superheroes in the world, Homelander outshined even his father with the abilities and skills he possessed. He is supposed to have the powers of Superman and the public identity of Captain America. But unlike Superman, he doesn't seem to have any weaknesses. No kryptonite. Though Homelander might not have any physical weaknesses, he does have the court of public opinion. He has his own questionable sanity to deal with. It is very clear from the show that he is unhinged. Every form of emotional backup he had was effectively eliminated. His team turned their back on him, and Stormfront was outed as a Nazi, so suffice it to say he has his qualms about people. The only solace he has in the people and his representation in the media, they are his last line of defense from mental obscurity. This could also be advantageous for him in a sense. Even if he is exposed as a fraud to the public, he would have nothing to lose. There is nothing anyone can say or do to stop him. He could level the whole planet on a whim if he wanted to, and this could arguably be his strength. But let's be honest, keeping your head straight in a fight is what matters, and Wolverine, of all people, understands that. Though there are a few occasions in which he loses his temper and lashes out, he can, for the most part, keep a cool head. And let's not forget the fact that his time in military service probably taught him restraint. It could be argued that he might have traces of post-traumatic stress, but there has been no clear reference to this in the films, which is why I'm considering it insubstantial. Wolverine clearly has the edge here. When he was infused with the adamantium from the Weapon X project, Wolverine picked up a few extra perks. Among them, he had received superhuman senses. His eyesight was sharper and could see much further into the distance and pick up tiny details and could see in the dark. His hearing was enhanced and could pick up sounds from miles away. But most impressive of all is his bloodhound nose. This gives him a predatory advantage by detecting hidden enemies and following their trails. But unfortunately for Logan, even the best of his perceptions cannot compete with Homelander's. Homelander can see things beyond just the visible spectrum, and since this includes infrared, he can rival Wolverine's ability to see in the dark and spot enemies using their thermal signatures. Too bad he'll never need to do that because he can literally see through objects, so there is no hiding from him. His sense of hearing is just as receptive. He can hear things from miles away, but can also isolate different frequencies and focus on particular sounds. The edge here goes to Homelander. There are very few times where we have seen Homelander go toe-to-toe with an equal, but when he does, it is clear that he does get bruised and beat up. But like all other soups, he can recover at superhuman levels. When he was double-teamed by Butcher and Soldier Boy, he hadn't recovered fully even the next day, which means that while he can heal from all injuries, the regenerative process takes a bit of time. Healing is a deal breaker for Wolverine. His entire strength is predicated on the fact that he can take a hit and recover immediately. Whether it is a deep cut or a thermal burn, his healing factor kicks into gear the moment he is hurt. And thanks to this, he can recover from life-threatening injuries in a few minutes, if not sooner. This is a win for Logan. While his enhancement from the Weapon X program did give him animalistic agility, he can slice bullets in half with his claws, but this is nowhere as fast as Homelander can move. The speed of Homelander would be on par with someone like the Flash or the A-Train. Faster than a speeding bullet is an understatement when it comes to the leader of the Seven. He could possibly hit Wolverine with rapid-fire attacks that are far too fast for his healing factor to keep up with. He could even suck the air out of Wolverine's lungs and slow him down. All of this is assuming that he can get close enough without being scathed by his adamantium claws. Wolverine comes with the standard superhero strength package that does not come close to what Homelander can pull off. Homelander is strong enough to lift entire airliner jets and cars, and his strength is just not comparable to Wolverine's. Adamantium is one of the strongest materials in the world, and is practically indestructible. It was able to pierce through the impenetrable skin of the Hulk, but Homelander is completely invulnerable to melee attacks. While he does bleed and get bruised, he is impervious to cuts and bullets, which renders adamantium claws inefficient, but not completely useless. While Wolverine's healing factor is quick, he can still suffer from cuts, blasts, and burns. But for all the damage Homelander can do to Logan's flesh, there is very little he can do to destroy his adamantium skeleton. Okay, this is a tough one. While Homelander can recover faster than normal humans, he can't keep up with the generation of Wolverine, which means that repeated claw attacks from Wolverine could prove devastating for the suit. This one goes to Wolverine. While Logan is great at sneaking up on people undetected, he doesn't have the ranged attacks that Homelander does. Homelander could sear him with heat vision or stop him in his tracks with his freeze breath. Even with these two powers alone, Homelander could do a lot of damage. He could toss him around and slam him into objects, or just burn away his eyes and ears, leaving him vulnerable. But the reason Homelander wins this one is because he can fly. This just means that he could drag Logan into space or underwater or throw him into a volcano. There is no way Wolverine can work around this one. With all those factors in mind, the winner would be Homelander. I mean, just the sheer versatility of his attacks and speed, Wolverine wouldn't be able to keep up. He would be damaged faster than he can heal and would eventually lose. That's it for this video, guys. Let us know who you think would win this fight down in the comments below. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, and for more content like this, subscribe to the channel.